welcome to the We Geek Together episode, the podcast. We Geek Together podcast, episode 20.
20? Already?
Episode 20. Hey, this is a perfect episode to talk about the topic we're going to talk about today.
Oh, boy.
Because this might be our last episode ever. We might get canceled for this one.
At least we're ending on a round number.
Yeah, we did 20. That's 10 more than most other podcasts. So, today we are talking, let's get political. We're talking about politics today.
Are you sure we want to do this episode?
Yeah, dude, we gotta get political.
All right, we're doing it.
I don't know. Is there anything we want to do for the before the opening round of drinks?
Before doing opening round of drinks?
Well, okay. So, politics, we have a very interesting topic. We want to talk about being a politic-free space.
Yep.
What is that actually like to run a business that tries hard to walk a line of being politic-free?
Yeah.
Okay. So I will get some ground rules in a bit, but I don't know. Let's get to the first round of drinks.
Well, we just recorded a podcast about events, so that was fun.
Yep.
I got a Mountain Dew.
Baja Blast. Thanks for sharing everything.
Andrew,
everybody show your cool lighter and pipe.
Yeah, Andrew. So I went to this event in New Mexico, and there's a booth selling these handmade pipes and everything. And I'm not a smoker, but there's something about the aesthetics and the usage of pipes that I find really cool. Like I picture Lord of the Rings. I picture Gandalf and Bilbo smoking a doobie, looking at fireworks.
You've seen that photo of like his Gandalf staff has like his pipe in the staff.
Like, that's so cool. Anyway, they traded me this nice pipe and this nice pipe lighter for one of our cool leather bags. And
that's cool.
And the helmet.
Whoa, there's a helmet here, and it was here last time, too.
Yeah, and I didn't even talk about this. So there's this gentleman who had this helmet at this red fair. He was pretty inebriated, yes. And he really wanted one of our resin plastic daggers that we had. And he didn't have any money on him. All he had was a couple of brewskis and
Mandalorian
this
helmet.
Like metal, kind of like medieval built Mando helmet. And he's like, "Hey man, I'll trade you this Mando helmet for one of these daggers that I really want." And I'm like
a $100 helmet.
Yeah, this is like a $100 helmet.
Dagger.
He painted it and everything. It's kind of got like the hand of Sauron on it. And I was like, "This is a terrible deal for you. Are you sure you want to do this?" "I'll do this because I want this helmet because I'm a Star Wars fan and this is just a cool piece."
Yeah, no kidding.
He's just like, "I ain't got money, so yeah, let's do it." And he also offered me a couple of beers with it. I'm like, "Nah, I don't need those. I'll just take the helmet."
I mean, you got a sweet deal.
I know. Killer deal. So I had some fun in New Mexico along with all the dirt and the wind and the snow.
Heck yeah.
Yeah.
Nothing new with me. Let's get on to the topic. All right. So, I wanted to talk about rule number 3 for our game store, which is leave the politics at the door. And I want to talk about why I think this is really important in our day and age. Why I feel like we need more spaces like this.
Sure.
And unfortunately, even though we do everything to not be political,
it's impossible.
It is impossible in this day and age. So it's a very important rule for us to not be political.
Yep. So I think
why?
Well, let's just start off with.
I need to lay ground rules.
Yeah, the ground rules.
Okay, so very important ground rules.
Yeah.
First off, we are not expressing our political beliefs.
Nope.
Our political opinions, our whatever opinions. This is not us saying we're pro this or anti this.
Mm-hmm.
Second off, if you are somebody who is politically involved, or you care about a certain thing, or you're really passionate about this group or this belief or something like that.
That's awesome.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
And we need people like that, and people should be passionate about politics and about their beliefs. Like you should, that should be celebrated and that should be cared for.
Absolutely.
You should absolutely talk about the stuff that is important to you. And this is not, we're not downgrading people who do that. We're not saying bad things at all about that.
We're just talking about what it's like for our experience to try and run a political-free space.
Yeah, and why we feel like it's important. So why do you feel it's important? I have many thoughts on this.
Well, so purely from a business perspective, we want to be welcoming to as many people as possible. The more people in the door is better business for us. Now, that sounds a little heartless, but it's all about providing a better experience for as many people as possible. So on the basis of that, we want to be as not divisive as possible.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. A lot of people who would play devil's advocate would say, look, if you are not speaking up about this certain topic, that you are not...
Then you're a part of the problem.
You're a part of the problem.
Yeah.
And so, and I understand that part of thinking.
Absolutely.
Like there's a lot of problems in society that need to be talked about
and need to be
worked on. To be solved. Yep. However, I feel like there's a time and place for everything. And I think this is why it's so important that we have a place that we can go and be humans, be people, be social.
We can be safe knowing that people aren't being antagonized.
Yeah.
And people can have a safe space for themselves where they can focus on having a good time, playing some games with their friends, and relaxing.
Yeah. I feel like a game store is absolutely one of those places.
100%.
When I walk into a game store, I should be thinking about how I'm going to outplay my opponent in a card game, or how I'm going to play this game. I should be focusing on how I'm going to have fun with friends or even strangers, how I'm going to play a game of D&D with you. I should not be thinking about how I should be moving whatever belief or opinion onto other people, and I shouldn't be worried that other people are going to be pushing their beliefs or opinions on me.
Yeah,
I should just be looking to play Magic the Gathering or D&D. And if I sit across from a random opponent, I shouldn't have to worry that their beliefs are going to counter mine, and we are going to be off on a bad foot.
Yeah. So it is absolutely important to try and be as neutral as possible for this space so that everyone can just have as good a time as possible, get away from their worries in the world generally.
Yeah. And I'm very passionate about this because I feel like this has been lost in our world.
Yeah.
And I'll talk about why it's actually impossible to be political or to not be political, because it is impossible to not be political.
I absolutely remember growing up, politics was pretty much just not a thing in our household.
We were kids. Yeah. We weren't very politically involved, but also in school.
Even by middle and high school, like there was a hint of this or that here and there. But it really wasn't a focus of anyone's concerns at the time.
And the terminology and the wording that is used nowadays, like there are little kids who call people incels or call people woke or call people this or that. And even in our verbiage, we have sunk in a lot of political opinionated charged things. Pro this or anti this.
Like everything falls into one camp or the other nowadays. You can't watch a new movie at the movie theater without feeling like this movie feels like it's pushing one agenda or another.
Yeah, well, and that's how a lot of society is painting things too. Like, both sides radically are kind of like, that's kind of the war they're waging. Is like, oh, if you see Barbie, that means you're supporting this ideology.
Yeah.
Or if you see Oppenheimer, that means you're supporting this thing. And it's like,
or you were a cool person at the theaters and went to see both.
Yeah, I mean, like, and so
the Oppenheimer Barbie double feature was a big thing. The Barbenheimer.
So
I never saw either of them, so I
don't know what I'm talking about.
I don't have an opinion on those particular movies.
Boy, I love how careful we are about being this. We don't want to get canceled here.
Oh boy!
But I think that's the world we live in nowadays. Is like everything is so politically charged. And maybe it's just the content that I consume.
I think a lot of it has to do with the frequency of our access to content. Not just us personally, but as a society. Social media eats up, up to 8, 12, 16 hours of people's day. Some people's days. And when you're seeing...
16 hours is nuts.
I know, but that's the reality. It, yeah. That is some people's lives. And when you are having an algorithm force feed you content for that amount of time that you agree with and that it notices what you pay attention to.
It can radicalize you.
It can radicalize you, and it really will sink into your identity as a person of how you see the world.
So yeah, I feel like nowadays more than ever the world is very politically charged.
Yep.
And divisive. And divisive. And if somebody has a different political opinion from you, it can be seen as a personal attack.
Yeah, it's pretty easy to start villainizing the other side.
You will villainize the other person. Maybe it's not a personal attack, but you will think less of other people who have different opinions from you. And a lot of it is how society and how media, social media, all of the above kind of pushes their agendas.
Yeah.
Vote for this or vote for that or support this or support that.
It's sometimes scary to see one event covered by a media on either side of the spectrum.
Oh, right.
And how differently
they
paint
the
story.
I know.
It blows my mind.
The fact that we only have two parties and it seems to get more and more just changed. And so that's one of the reasons why I'm so passionate about having a politically free zone.
Yeah.
Is to allow people to be people.
Yeah. Have a safe space where you don't have to worry about one of the chief things that is a huge danger to our society.
And huge stress.
And a huge
stress.
When I say danger, I mean like danger to people's mental health.
Livelihood.
Yeah.
There are so many people who are scared to share their thoughts on things because they feel like if I say the wrong thing to the wrong person, that's the end of my professional career.
Yeah.
And so, to have a space that you can be free and welcome to play and socialize.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think that's huge. And I feel like we should have more spaces like that.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, society is pushing spaces to be the opposite.
Yeah.
Again, kind of getting back to that first argument of if you are not supporting this particular thing,
then you're a part of the problem.
You are a part of the problem.
Yeah.
And so, and people will absolutely, and this is why we'll get, so we've talked about why we do it. And why it's important, but I want to talk about why it's impossible to still not be political in this age.
And we're going to keep trying, and it's what we're passionate about. But it is impossible to stay 100% political free.
Yeah. Yeah.
Politics free. Politics. That's the word I was looking for.
And this is a perfect example because this happened in our game store. And this person meant nothing about it. But a person came into my game store wearing a flag, okay? Let's, for example, just say an American flag, okay? They came in wearing an American flag like a cape. Yeah. It wasn't just like a little pin or a sticker. It was very much a big flag, so it was very noticeable by everyone.
Yeah.
And that was fine. They wore this flag in. They were a nice person. They were a good customer. I had no problems with them wearing this American flag, okay? However, had another customer come in with a different flag. Let's go as evil as can. Let's say they came in with a flag that had the swastika on it and it says, "I am a Nazi" on the flag. If a person came in with that kind of flag,
and we don't do anything about it.
And we treated them the same as the customer who wore the American flag, I would get in a lot of trouble.
Not only would you get in a lot of trouble, but I mean,
people would expect me to kick that customer out.
Right. Yeah. But there's also like your own struggles with it. Like, I wouldn't want to see that on anybody. Like,
what, the I am a Nazi flag?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not just about the consequences of what would happen to us if we don't do something about it, but it's also about how it impacts ourselves and the people in the store.
Yeah. Now, look, if you want to wear an American flag and be a patriot and support the troops and stuff like that, in context, like, society will be like, hey, that's fine.
Yeah.
Okay? That is an okay political opinion to have out in public. However, there are political opinions, beliefs, religions that are not okay to have out in public. And if that is brought into my store and I do not offer the same protection that I do for somebody who does have a society okay belief, I am responsible as a business owner. Like, if I allow somebody who has a Nazi flag that says I am a Nazi to be around, and then they start bringing in more Nazi people, like, I, as a business, am now supporting these people by letting them in this space. And so that's what I mean is, even though I have a specific rule, no politics in the store, because of the way society is, I will never be free of politics, because
it's too ingrained into people's ideals and their own not personalities, how you see yourself, right? Like, they are their morals. Their morals are their values. Their values are their politics.
Yeah, if I wear an American flag, I stand for freedom and for supporting the troops.
Identities.
And
that's the word I was looking for.
And for the Constitution.
Yeah.
And, I'm a nationalist if I wear an American flag. And with that comes the beliefs of that flag. Yeah. Absolutely. And people tie in their own personal beliefs to different types of groups and ideologies. And like we said at the very beginning, that's fine. But when people bring that into the store, that now puts me as a store owner and the person was not meaning to do this at all.
No.
This is just this person being them.
Yeah.
But that now, you being that way in my business has now put a spotlight on me on how I react to your thing.
Yeah.
And if I support some groups, I will be praised and liked. And if I kick out some groups, I will be praised and liked. And if I do not support certain groups, I will be shunned and canceled.
Yeah.
And if I do support some groups, I will be shunned and canceled. And so that's what I'm saying. Like, as a business, even though I am very non-political, because this is a free, fun space to be, I am still forced to be political, which is very interesting.
Yeah. I do just want to reiterate what we said at the beginning. Everyone is absolutely free to have their own beliefs and to celebrate them and have them be a part of their identities and everything like that. Free will to man, like, that's okay.
Be you.
Yeah, absolutely. Be yourself.
It's just very interesting because I never knew this side of a business.
Yeah.
That, allowing a certain person into your store
could be detrimental to how people view your store.
Could be taking a political stance.
Yeah.
Even though I have zero political stances, just even the customers who walk into my store are now a reflection of what I allow and what I don't allow. Which is very interesting, and I don't think that's talked about at all. The only times it's talked about is when businesses do not support whatever society says they should be supporting. And we've seen...
Or just kind of the flip side of that, where they will verbally denounce something that's accepted by society or something, and then...
Yeah. Chick-fil-A being closed on Sundays, they've received a lot of flack because of that. And that's a very good example of, like, well, that's their political opinion, and you can say religious opinion, but politics and religion, I think, is very...
They can be hand in hand a lot of the times. And we're not
going
to go into
that.
whether that is how it should be or anything like that.
But so it's very
interesting.
Yeah. It's really interesting. This is what I stand by. I want my store to be a fun place that anyone, anywhere can walk into. That's super important to me. I want, no matter what you believe, no matter who you are, I want you to be able to have fun and meet other people and have fun with them. That's our core tenet. That's what we truly believe in.
Welcoming to absolutely everybody,
whoever you are. Now, we will never be perfect.
Nope.
And also,
we're humans. We make mistakes.
Yeah, and because of our stance on some non-beliefs, like not. No doubt we will face our own backlash whenever we do. We're not in aliens, and
we're not on this side or that side.
We're not perfect, and we're humans. One day we're gonna slip up, and we're not gonna be the best, but we're gonna try. Earnestly. And then really our core tenet is
be kind.
People should be fun. People should
be kind to the people that you're around.
Enjoy playing with other people.
We want more spaces like this where we're just focusing on enjoying the moment and having fun with our friends.
And I think that's so important to have spaces like that.
Yeah.
I really feel like the world is so at odds with each other.
Yeah.
I can't sit across from somebody and feel like I have to have my guard up.
Yeah.
That I have to be worried about what I say and what I do until I really know that person. Yeah. And that's, it feels like it's a toxic. It's a hard life to live.
Hard place to be.
And knowing that my kids are going to grow up in a society where, hey, mom and dad might teach me one thing at home and society is going to judge me by whatever mom and dad teach me at home.
Yeah.
It's really tough. And I miss the days when I was a kid and I
just cared about catching Pokemon and jumping into the river buck naked.
And things weren't so tense between things. And I could say things that I want. So I felt like other people might share that opinion. I don't know. Maybe I'm a weird one.
I completely get where you're coming from. We want a safe space for everybody, and that's really hard to do because there's some people that how they present is going to be a visual tell that makes someone else uncomfortable, And so how we react as a business when those people come in can say stuff about our business and our beliefs.
Well, and
we want to avoid that as much as possible.
Well, and people are going to be judgmental no matter what.
Yeah.
Is really not even how they present, even if they don't present, people are going to be judgmental.
People are going to make judgments.
Yeah. So, all right. Well, that's the episode. Hopefully we don't get canceled. That was very stressful, honestly. Like my heart's kind of pounding.
Yeah. I want to stress another time. We love people, and whatever your political views are,
good for you.
We're gonna love you, and you can come into our game store. You are welcome to come and play with us and have a good time, and we want to have a safe space for you.
I will definitely play a game with you, as long as you aren't trying to preach your political opinions to me. Let's just play a game.
Let's just play a game.
Yeah. Now, we do have a new segment called After Hours, where we get a bit more unfiltered. And for this episode, while we're still going to keep by the rules, we're not going to talk about our personal belief, and we're not going to talk, this isn't to target anybody.
Sure.
I wanted to talk specifically about Utah.
Yeah.
Because Utah has a very interesting
demographic But
before we get there, let's do the final call for drinks. Yep. We Geek Together. You can find us at the Provo Game Store, online, under everything We Geek Together, a YouTube channel. We have the Dead Wars coming up May 3rd and 4th, around the corner from the episode airing.
By the point that this airs, it's going to be like a week away or something like that.
The biggest game of D&D ever played. I'm super excited.
I'm super stressed.
Like last episode, you said I'm super excited, and I said I'm super stressed.
Everything's going to come together like it did last year, and it's going to be amazing. But boy, are there so many pegs that still need to fall into place for that to happen.
So thank you for watching this episode, and we will now get into the After Hours segment. Utah. All right, so let's talk about the different communities we have in here that we've identified. This might not be all of them, but this is what I see. So first off, obviously there's a large Christian community. As there is a big local Christian church, a dominant Christian community.
Everyone knows what it is. It's the LDS church.
Yeah, the LDS church. Cool. And because there is a large dominant LDS church, you have the antithesis of them. You have people who are firmly against
for whatever
LDS
their
church.
Personal reasons, either.
But if you're going to have a huge presence of one side, life balances it out, and there's going to be the opposite. And then you predominantly white.
Yes. Utah's a white state.
Now, a decent amount of Hispanics.
Yeah.
I'm hopefully Hispanics is not Latin American. Latin people. There's a big Latin culture here in Utah. Which I've been able to experience, luckily, because your wife is from Uruguay, and she lived in Mexico. So
and she makes us delicious empanadas sometimes.
Yes, she does.
And
but
it's awesome.
There's actually a very decent Latin culture here in Utah, which is really cool. And there is a lot of tech. Utah's becoming a tech.
It's like another Silicon Valley. They call it something else. They don't call it the Silicon Valley, but
what is?
What?
The Silicon Slopes?
Silicon Slopes.
Interesting.
Lots of tech companies, lots of startups.
So with that, you're bringing in those kind of people, kind of like the brainy, nerdy, go-getting, that kind of stuff. And while that's not really a specific political, I still believe that's kind of like
the landscape
a lot.
It raises the cost of living quite a bit.
Oh,
when you have
that's another thing.
Huge companies.
Economically, Utah is getting crazy expensive.
Yeah, it's getting really expensive to live in Utah. When 10 years ago,
Utah was very affordable.
One of the cheapest. Yeah, and now it's flip-flopped.
And with an economic rising, that also changes the political and social environment around as lower wealth communities are getting more and more struggled upon, and higher wealth communities are doing better, fine in these kind of spaces. So
there can be a lot of division there when it comes to different working classes.
Yeah, and I see a lot, like so many students who are like struggling with housing and struggling to make ends meet. And so
I mean, we've firsthand been able to see just the economic difference of 10 years ago, a decade when we moved here, when you could get a private college bedroom for $300 a month. And now that one of our younger sisters is starting to go to college, her private bedroom is $1,000 a month.
Anna and I, when we got married, our studio apartment was $400.
I would kill to be living in something that cheap.
For a $400 studio apartment nowadays. You're lucky to find one under $700.
Not, at least I can't find one.
Yeah,
cheapest studio I can find is about $900 to $1,000.
Yeah, that's insane. So Utah has changed a lot, and also Utah hasn't changed a lot at all in some certain ways.
How does this affect us, though?
So this is what I feel. So first off, there are a lot of groups, minority groups, that we do not get to interact with that much.
Sure.
Okay. We said this is a white predominant state.
Yeah.
Okay. So that tells you there aren't many people who are non-white around.
Yeah.
Besides the Latin culture. So that's one thing that's missed. There are the pricing right now is, I think, the biggest thing that affects us, because the people who spend money on nerd stuff, let's say young adults, teenagers, are having less money. So as a entertainment, as a niche thing, we either have to
be really competitive with our pricing.
We have to be super competitive,
which can be really hard to do for a small business like us.
Yeah, and we have to be very creative.
Yeah.
With both such radical, let's say, religious beliefs or non-religious beliefs.
Sure.
This is one of the reasons why we choose very strongly to not be political, because like I said, political and religion I kind of view in this same area. So we're non-political, but we're also we don't advertise if we are part of a religion or not part of a religion. We're not saying, hey, if you are X this religion, you're welcome here. If you're pro this religion, you're welcome here.
Yeah.
We don't do anything like that. We're not giving prayers at the beginning of every tournament or anything like that.
If we were to start doing that, we would be inherently making the other side uncomfortable. So we're not going to do that.
Yeah, exactly. Because
we want it to be safe for both.
Yeah. So, but just knowing that that's a case. One of the knowing that there is a heavy Christian community, that has affected one of our other rules in the store, which is we keep our games PG-13.
Right. Yeah.
Now, I don't think this is solely because of the Christian community. I believe this is also because we want to be welcoming for families, and we want to be welcoming for kids.
Yeah.
And females. So if we have games that are mature or use a lot of foul language or about incense or bad topics.
Okay.
I will say adult topics. If we have stuff like that, that will turn away the Christian community. It will turn away kids. It will turn away moms. It'll turn away women.
Yeah.
So that is one of the rules we have, is we keep games PG-13.
And honestly, I don't think that detracts from the experience at all, having it, under R-rated.
Well, and I don't... I said this wrong. I said we kind of made this rule because of the Christian community. That's absolutely not the truth. I didn't make that rule because I wanted to cater to the Latter-day Saint church.
Yeah.
I wanted more for this to be a welcoming space.
Yeah.
And so that's actually the reason why I made it. I didn't make it because I'm like, oh, them Mormons don't like to swear, so we should not have swearing in our store. No, that was not the motivation for that. It was more of like, we understand there are kids and there's moms who don't want foul language around.
Yeah.
They're them. So.
Again, it's we're just trying to make a safe space for as many people as possible. Yeah. And so, the less graphic we can be is absolutely going to be helpful.
Now, if we were to go to a different state, let's go to Washington, because you and I lived Washington for
18 to 20 years.
A lot of our lives, and we know what Washington is like. I mean, especially now, like watching Washington, because we moved away 18 years ago.
No, we moved away a decade ago. 10 years.
10 years,
not 18.
For me. Oh, you're right. Sorry,
How old do you
I've
think
been
we
married
are?
to my wife for 10 years, and so that's my benchmark.
You moved out here like
everything.
a year before I did.
That's true.
But 10 to
11 years.
Yeah.
11 years. Washington's political landscape is very different from Utah's. Okay, I would maybe not a complete opposite, but the main dominant political party from Utah is completely different from the main political party in Washington. Just to give an example.
Yeah.
Do you think our store would change?
I honestly don't think so. No.
I think we would keep the same rules.
Yeah.
I think we would keep the same tenants.
Yeah.
Tenants, is that? Yeah.
Tenants is a word for like values.
We keep the same values.
Yeah. Being a safe space for as many parties or minorities, as possible, I don't think is really going to change no matter what state we end up in, even if it's a predominantly red or blue state. I think that would stay the same.
And I think that's how we would approach it, which is very interesting. I wonder what it would be like to have a game store in a completely different state, where the demographics and the people are completely different.
I mean, we can't know for sure until we try and open another store somewhere.
So,
because there might be some place that is just like full of degenerates that we. This is a joke, by the way. I'm trying to be funny.
that just hate TTRPGs.
Yeah, like the only way they'll play at our store is if we make the games as graphic, as sexual, and as demeaning as possible. I don't think a place like that actually exists, but
I think I'm about politically out. I'm done.
Yeah. We want to be politically free in our store, and yeah, this episode, it feels weird to.
It's tough
to talk about it. Yeah.
This was a hard episode to do, which is very interesting. Very interesting.
Hopefully you enjoyed it. If you saw this.
Hopefully we didn't say anything that meant offense, because that was not the intent.
Yeah. We love people, and we want to play games with people, and that's why we made this space.
I mean, just selfishly, like, a business wants people to come in.
Yeah.
So the last thing a business wants to do is
drive people away.
So if you want to look at it very cynically.
Yeah, but also we love people. So
also we really care about that nerd community.
We really care about people.
That's why we do what we do.
And we want people to be safe and comfortable.
So yeah, just an interesting topic. Thanks for putting up with me.
Heck yeah.
And we'll see you.
I might have a smoke now.
We'll see you next time.